Good morning, everybody. Hope Savar here on Chrome and Steel Radio with a daily dose of hope. Got to start 2020 out on the right foot, and why not a little dose of hope this morning? Good morning. If you're tuning in, where are you tuning in from? If you're watching the replay, type replay in the comments section. I hope that you enjoyed your new year. I'm sure many of you spent your New Year's out on the road because our shelves would not be full and we would not have the things we need without all of you. So thank you for that. I hope that the truck stop was hospitable, or maybe you were at a hotel or who knows where. Thank you so much for all of that. All right, good morning. I am excited because it is 2020. It's January 2nd. I spent yesterday, my kids, some of them are still off, some of them are back at school. I spent yesterday kind of doing a couple of different things. The holidays I kind of tried to spend mainly off social media and just kind of doing little things here and there. But yesterday I spent kind of in reflection and going, okay, what do I want for the new year? What do I want to happen? What are my goals? Good morning, Mary. How are you? I hope you're doing great. Thanks for tuning in. It's Thursday. It's the 20s. It's a new decade. It's a new year. It's maybe a new you or an enhanced version of you. I always think that we are always who we are. Sometimes we just lose ourselves. So is it a new you or is it finding you? That is the question. It's been my experience that we kind of find ourselves rather than reinvent ourselves, which I think is a powerful mindset shift. But we have a couple things that we're talking about today on today's episode, and I will keep it maybe short and sweet and to the point here. I have a kind of a jam-packed morning here, but I wanted to pop on here this morning. You're listening to a Daily Dose of Hope on Chrome and Steel Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're talking about the new year. We're talking about goals. We're talking about what's going to happen here in 2020. And as we all figured out, the world is not going to end. Remember back in 1999 when the ball dropped, although I found out that some of the balls go up now, which I thought was kind of weird. Anyways, we all thought that, well, maybe not all of us, I didn't think it, but there was a big part of people thought that the world was going to end, that the clocks would not know how to roll over into 20, and from 1999 and like the sky was going to fall, and it didn't happen. Well, luckily it rolled over into the 20s and it did not happen again, which is a great opportunity for us because it means that we can move forward in life. And for the most part, if we just look at January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 30th, February, March, April, go on and on and on, it's just another day. And we can all approach this new year as just another day. But I want to tell you something. If that's how you approach it, that's exactly what you're going to get. If you are saying to yourself, oh well, it's just another Thursday, then guess what? You are going to get exactly what every Thursday brings you. That might not be a bad thing. You may be saying to yourself, I love everything that I get in life. I'm happy where I am. I love every Thursday morning that I wake up. Everything I get is great. I'm happy. I'm content. I'm satisfied. And that's really good if you're in that place. I, by nature, I'm a little bit more internally motivated, and maybe motivated is not the right word, but I really like to focus in my own life on how it is that I can be better. And it's something inside of me that drives me towards that, and it's not that I look to myself and go, oh, I suck as a person and I need to improve myself or else, but rather I'm very internally motivated to look at my life and say, how can I be better? How can I make a bigger impact? How can I help more people? How can I be the best version of myself? And for some of us, we might need that. We might not naturally do those things. And that's okay. I fell off the path for a big part of my life, and it was really hard for me to get back on, but I did, and I'm very grateful for that. And that's why it's very near and dear to my heart that we set goals for ourselves here on Daily Dose of Hope. So what is it that you want to accomplish in 2020? And for many of you, maybe you remember back last year's New Year's episode, and we talked about resolutions. I'm not a big fan of resolutions, and here's why. What I have found in my own life is that when I set a resolution or somebody sets a resolution, we look at ourselves and go, where do I suck? And we take this big part of our life and go, poof, I'm going to change that. I'm going to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to lose 100 pounds. I'm going to go to bed early every single day. I'm going to do all these things. But there's no goal attached to it. There's no why attached to it. It's just, I'm overweight and I want to lose weight. Well, why? Why? What do you get out of that? What's the end goal? And so what I'm suggesting is that you just kind of get rid of that whole like resolution idea and instead set goals. Now, I have really, really big goals. We call them a BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. It's good to have those with no time limit, no agenda, no like I have to get there in a year, 5 years, 6 months, 2 months, whatever. And from that point, maybe it's you don't want to be a truck driver anymore. Maybe it is you want to lose weight. Maybe it is that you want to have your health back. Maybe it is you don't want to feel so much pain when you move around. Maybe you want to build up your savings account. Whatever it is, it does not matter. It does not matter. That's your goal. And what resolutions don't do is they don't inspire you to work backwards. So what I mean by that is here's your goal, and now you ask yourself, in order to get there, what are the things that I would need to do, change, or think about in order to move forward towards that? And so if I have a really big goal to be an author, whatever it is, I have several books out, but let's say that's like my big goal, okay? What do I have to do that? Okay, I have to start writing. Okay, and then from there, what else do I have to do? I have to seek out a mentor. Okay, what else do I have to do? So you start working backwards and asking yourself these questions, and these become your little mini goals. So you're breaking this down. One of the things I've noticed being in the fitness and yoga and health and wellness industry for almost 20 years is when people come in and they're like, I want to lose 100 pounds, there's no game plan. Goals create game plans. Resolutions just show you where you suck. And if we focus on the suck, we're not going to get anything different from that. And then by chance, if we don't meet that unrealistic expectation in our head, we just throw it all away. So, what is it that you want? And it's inside your head, because this was me. If inside your head you have this aspiration, you have this goal, you have this desire, whatever it is, to be healthy, to try to be more mobile, to fit into your clothes better, whatever it is, to, like I said, maybe you don't want to be a truck driver anymore, maybe you want to work better hours, maybe you want to switch companies, maybe you want to see your family more, whatever it is, maybe you want to go on a really great vacation, okay, that's your goal. We have to ask ourselves, how am I going to get there? Resolutions do not ask you that. So when you set a goal, ask yourself, what do I want? And then what do I need to do to get there? One of the things that I have learned and I've taught myself over the years is that when I have something that I want, and I like the new year because it's kind of like a fresh start, although you can fresh start anytime, don't wait until the new year. If by January 30th you feel like you blew it, like don't wait 11 months, people. Like just begin again. Because remember, the goal doesn't have a timeline. The goal doesn't have a timeline. It's just a goal. And then we have little things to get us there for what we want to do, landmarkers. My suggestion, don't do it all at once. Many of you know I struggled with addiction for a really long time. I am a recovering addict. I will forever be a recovering addict. I try to be very aware of that because those are the things that I fall back into. So when I realized I didn't want to be an addict anymore, I tried for 15 years to wake up every morning and change everything about myself. My resolution when I went to bed at night was, I'm going to be healed. I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to use food for emotional dependency. I'm not going to binge drink. I'm not going to use drugs. I'm not going to binge and purge. I'm not going to restrict. I'm not going to exercise for 5 hours straight. Like, I'm not going to do all these things. When we do that to ourselves, please listen to me. I'm speaking from experience and working with countless people. When we do that to ourselves, there is a part of our brain that triggers and goes into scarcity mode. And it thinks to itself, oh no, I better hold on tight because the shit's gonna hit the fan. So as a result, guess what happens? Nothing. Nothing happens. Because we're afraid. Because we just told ourselves we were going to take away everything that is familiar and comfortable, and it's not even the word natural is right, but what we're used to, and we're just going to do something completely different. Now, for some people, for a very small percentage, that might work for them. I have a friend that it's like all or nothing. She just is all in, and everything she changed in her life, and it worked for her. Well, good for her, because that ain't me. And I have a feeling that many of you listening, that might not be you too. So I am giving you permission to not wake up today or tomorrow or the next day and say to yourself, I have to be perfect. I have to be better. I am never going to eat a carb ever again. Bullshit. I call your bluff. It's gonna happen. And I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly, but what I'm trying to say is that you don't have to live that way. You don't have to do that. So instead of saying, I'm going to exercise, I'm never going to eat sweets, I'm going to cut out all sugar, I'm never going to eat a carb again, I'm going to exercise 7 days a week, I'm going to walk 5 miles, I'm going to read more, I'm going to call my family more, I'm going to do all these things, which are really good things. Remember, big goal, lots of little goals along the way. It's a path, people. It's not a row in front of you. So today, good news, it's January 2nd. You can pretend like it's January 1. If mentally you need that for yourself, just pretend it's January 1. I want to ask you, what is the one mini goal, small change, that you can do to reach that big goal? I have some financial goals for myself this year. I have some pretty big professional goals for myself this year. And I have some personal goals for myself this year. When I look at those big goals, I get super overwhelmed. It's like, oh my gosh, Hope, you really think you can achieve those? But I took the time, I don't know where my notebook is, I took the time to work backwards from them. Now, here's what I noticed, and this might be you right now, and you might even notice this about yourself. There was a part of my brain that was saying, don't do it, that's dumb. Like, for real. Like, sitting down with my paper. You know, if you go to hopezavara.com, Z-V-A-R-A, I actually created a goals worksheet, plural, and these are some of the things that I do for myself because people were asking me, so you can just download it yourself because this is what I used. Anyways, so you write these down, you ask yourself, what is it that I want to do? And you work backwards and you work through the bullshit in your brain and you work through the discomfort because do you want your goal or not? this is what it came down for me. And I know I go back to my recovery, and eating disorder, my addiction, because that's what's so real for me. It was like shit or get off the pothole. It was either I had to start making small changes, or I was just going to do I'm going to go to bed and wake up and be healed the next day. I'm going to go to bed and God's going to change my life, and poof, nothing's going to be like it never happened. And that just wasn't happening. For 15 years, I did that to myself. And I woke up and thought, there has to be a better way. So my goal was recovery. My goal was to live in recovery and have a family and be married and not have to live with this burden of addiction and hiding and lying and cheating and doing all of these things in secret. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I need to break this cycle. My family has a history of addiction. I don't want my kids, at least I want to try to do the best I can to not have them live that way. So what I have to do, I had to admit myself into outpatient treatment. Scariest thing I ever had to do in my life. Call up myself, tell a stranger I have a problem, and show up to a room of 11 other people that I had never met in my life and say, hey, I have a problem. And I had to do weekly weigh-ins. And I had to be accountable for myself. I had to tell people about what I ate the day before. I had to tell people about how much I exercised. I had to show up at that place every single day, and it was scary. I had to tell my employer I couldn't work there anymore because I had to go to outpatient treatment instead. And when she asked why, I knew this person, and I felt like part of my getting to that goal was being honest with people, so I actually told her what I was doing. Like, these were all little mini things, little mini goals to get to that big goal. So whatever it is that you want in your life, wipe away the black and white thinking, wipe away this idea that you're going to wake up and be healed, that everything in your life is going to change. And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer. I'm trying to help you realize and see your potential, to know that you don't have to be perfect. I'm going to get covered up by the comments here really quickly. So we're going to try to adjust this. Sorry about this, you guys. There we go. As long as it doesn't fall over. We'll see what happens there. Okay. Okay. So I want you to know that setting a goal for yourself is a good thing. Do not be that person that goes, goals are dumb, they don't work. I am not going to change in 2020. I'm just going to look up, and it's just a Thursday. It's just another day. You're right, it is. But it doesn't have to be. Hey, good morning, Tim. Good morning, Mandy Jo. Good morning, Maddie. Good morning, Scott. Hello, Robert, Jane. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're talking about the new year. We're talking about resolutions. We're talking about goals. We're talking about what should I be in 2020? Where am I going? What should happen? How do I make that happen? That's a lot, but we are talking about it this morning. You're listening to A Daily Dose of Hope on Chrome and Steel Radio. So when you think about what it is that you want, have you written it down? Like, be honest. And like I said before, for years and years and years and years, there was a little voice inside my head that when I would sit down and want to write out a goal, there was this little voice inside my head that was saying, don't do it. That's so dumb. That's a waste of time. Like, there was this voice in my head sabotaging me before I even could write the goal down on paper. And you don't have to be sciencey. You don't need to know all the backstory, but something happens in our brain when we write things down versus when we just think about them. So if you're saying to yourself right now and saying to me, Hope, I have a goal, I'm going to say to you, Robert, Scott, Jane, Tim, Maddie, whoever is on, have you written it down? I'm calling you out. If you can't even write the goal down, what planet are you from that you think you are going to achieve that goal? If you can't even get yourself to write it down. And I say that with love, okay? I say that because I love you and I believe in you and I want the best for you. And I believe that these are tangible steps that are necessary for us to get where we want to go. I want to show you something. So some of them I took down, but here is my bulletin board. I have a light on here. So there's my bulletin board, and there's a couple yellow pieces of paper you could see on there with black Sharpie. Those are goals that I look at every single day that keep me accountable. That when I'm pissed and frustrated and irritated, I look up and I see that big black bold Sharpie note. I have them in a notebook. I write stuff down every day. I write my goals down every day. It seems mundane and dumb and stupid, but again, there's a part of your brain that changes when you write things down. When is the last time you wrote your goal down? I don't care how dumb and silly and stupid it is. If it's like, I need to get in 2,000 steps every day, I need to move for 5 minutes on purpose. And what I mean by that is like you are actually cognitive and cognizant of the fact that you need to get up and move. Whatever it is. I'm going to do some yoga today. I'm going to walk around my truck 10 times. We forget. We forget we are human. We forget. Write it down. And I go back to that little voice in my head because I had these goals, and for like 5 years I wouldn't write them down because it was actually way more than that, but post addiction I was keeping myself from these goals, from writing these down. And here's what I found out. Was that I didn't believe that I could get there and that I deserved them. The deserve part is really big. I didn't believe that I was worthy to have said goal. You don't need to say nothing to me about that. But I want to ask you, do you actually truly believe that you are worthy of receiving said goal? Whether it's weight loss, and we all know weight loss is usually connected to a better quality of life. Happiness, you want to be happy, you're unhappy. Well, why are you unhappy? Like, we have to trail it back. Like, why am I eating so much? Why am I not taking care of my body? Like, these are the real questions. It's not about weight. It is, but it isn't. It was like with me and food. It wasn't about food. It was the fact that I felt lonely and I didn't feel worthy and I felt overlooked and I felt like a nobody and I was very alone. Food did not solve that problem for me. And I have to check myself on a daily basis. I know people look at me and think, oh, she doesn't have a weight problem. She doesn't have a food problem. She has no problems at all. Like, that's my one thing with my life is people look at me and think, oh, she doesn't have any problems. Like, newsflash, I totally do. But I have goals and I have a plan and it helps keep me accountable. And I have trained myself to not take my own bullshit. And I mean that nicely. I have trained myself to learn when I start talking in circles about myself to myself, when I start lying to myself, if I can't write it down, I know there's a problem. And so I'm sharing this with you all because I don't want anybody to have to struggle the way that I did. It's painful. And we overcomplicate life. We overcomplicate our situation as a protection mechanism. So moving forward in 2020, it's like, my situation is so specific. Oh, you don't understand my circumstances. Oh, I have this and that and this and that. And oh, I'm a truck driver. Oh, I have this complicated syndrome or whatever it is. I don't care. I'm saying that because your situation is not that unique. And that you can do this. There is so much about your life that you can control. You just have been telling yourself that there is nothing that you can control for years and years and years and years. Don't believe me? Get quiet today. On your drive, turn off the radio and do some thinking. Do some reflecting. I bet you a big component of here's these goals, why you're not on the path to get there, is a lot to do with this. And I'm here to help you, to motivate you, to keep you accountable, to try to give you tools and to try to help you along the way. I can't do the work for you. That was the biggest aha moment I ever had moving through recovery, was the people that do the work get to the end. The people that don't. So what are your goals for 2020? Here's what I want you to do today. I have a goal for you. By the end of today, I want you to write down your big goal. I can teach you in episodes to come the 10-4-4 rule when writing goals, but for today we're going to keep it simple. What's your big goal? What do you want? It's okay if you have a couple. Just don't overwhelm yourself and write like 90 down, okay? What's a goal that you have? Write that down at the top of the paper. You actually have to use paper. You don't get to type it on your phone. You don't get to think about it in your head. If you have to stop at the TA or the Loves or the Quick Trip or Walgreens or whatever it is and buy paper, and you're saying to yourself, hope I can't afford paper, I will literally Venmo you $1 to buy a notebook, okay? Like, seriously, no excuses here. You write the goal at the top of the paper in nice, big, bold letters, whatever it is. And if it makes you feel uncomfortable, it's usually a good goal. If it makes you feel like, it's usually a good goal. And then from there, underneath, ask yourself, what do I need to do to get to that goal? If your goal is to lose 100 pounds, you better believe there has to be some changes that have to happen. Remember, it's a path, it's not a row. What would be some things that you could start doing? Now you can work in reverse or you can work front to end, forward to end. Maybe it's the fact that you just need to start walking around your truck for 5 minutes straight every single day. Just hoofing it. It's like power walk until you kind of get that point where it's like hard to talk, hard to hold a conversation. That's called a brisk walk. When it's hard to hold a conversation, then you know you're at a good brisk walk pace, which is really great for cardiovascular system. For 5 straight minutes. Now, don't let your head go, well, that's nothing. Like 5 minutes, time out. If 5 minutes wasn't a big deal, you would already be doing it. I mean, am I right? And I say this because this is the same conversations I have in my own head, okay? So 5 minutes for a week, 2 weeks, 21 days, whatever it is, until it becomes automatic, until it is a new part of your life. The reasons why so many people try things and they stop is because they try to change too many things at once. They try to change their diet. They try to change how much they exercise. They try to change the people in their life. They try to change their career. Like it's too much all at once. I'm a big fan of one brick at a time on the path will build your path faster than trying to roll a boulder 900 times the size of yourself into your path and call it good. Okay? So we're about bricklaying here. Once you do that, what would be a great next step? Maybe it would be doing 5 or 10 minutes of yoga. Maybe it's when I'm driving, I'm going to actually set my alarm on my phone to go off at said time, or maybe 2 or 3 times, and from the driver's seat of my truck, I am going to do a little bit of movement. Don't know what to do? Hello, Mother Trucker Yoga. You don't have to use me, okay? But do something. I just have made it easy for you. I'm going to do that for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for however long, these 3 movements. And again, if it seems too simple, ask yourself, why haven't I already been doing it? Do that until it becomes automatic, until you can't not do it. Because you're going to look back and go, holy crap, I've been doing this for like 6 months now, and now my back doesn't hurt anymore. Remember, the 100 pounds isn't the goal. The 100 pounds is really a disguise for wanting to feel better, for wanting to love yourself when you look in the mirror, for wanting to be able to get down on the floor with your grandkids, for wanting to not live with pain. Like, that's really the goal, but it's just disguised by this obvious thing, okay? And you can do this with anything. Keep on setting those benchmarks. Like, if you have this idea of like 10 things that you know you need to add to your life to get to that goal, don't set them up this way. Set them up this way, okay? Path, row, path, row. You're setting a path. Little mini hurdles to just keep meeting and jumping over. And if by chance there's a day or there's a week or whatever where it doesn't go so hot, just pick yourself up and start again. That's the beauty of life. Nobody is saying that you failed except for you. Nobody. Nobody is knocking on your window in the morning and saying, good morning, failure. Do you feel great that you didn't do anything you said you were going to do yesterday? You suck. Nobody's saying that. Like, I would wake up and it was me inside my head saying that to myself. So what did I have to do? Like, in my head, it was always, you're dumb, fat, stupid, you're a nobody, you're unworthy. Like, these were the things in my head going on. I had to start saying to myself, writing it down, that I was not those things. And it felt uncomfortable. It felt unnatural. It felt like wrong. Because for my whole life up to that point, I was doing the opposite. So it's going to be hard. Setting goals does not mean that it's going to get any easier. It does not mean that you're going to magically change today. But what it does mean is that you've now set the tone for what you're going to do. If you're a truck driver, I know many of you are, get the Post-it note and put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day. I spend a lot of time in my office, so I'm reading these goals, these Post-it notes every single day, even when I'm not thinking about them. So my subconscious, because we actually act in life based more on our subconscious than we do our conscious mind. So we act in about 80 to 90% of our subconscious on a daily basis, and only 10 to 20%, I think the percentages are even smaller than that, on a daily basis. Conscious mind, 10 to 20. Subconscious, 80%. So that means all the stuff that's been stored. I need to store new stuff. You need to store new stuff. And it starts with claiming a goal, setting a goal, writing the goal down, building the path to get there. If this is all new for you, message me. I will help you. I do not want you to fail. I do not want you to feel like you're out there alone, because you are not. But I'm going to call you out. No bullshit. No poor me. No, my life is so unique and you don't understand. I did that for a long time, and I can sniff it out like a drug dog. It will not help you. but I believe you have the tools that you need right in front of you. That was one of the biggest reasons when I started Mother Trucker Yoga, when I started my yoga studio, when I did yoga teacher trainings, when I did all this stuff, I believed in easy, accessible things. Like to almost to the point where your mind says, this is so simple, stupid, this is never going to work. But if it was so simple, stupid, you would already be doing it. And it would work because it does work. So that's what I have to say about that. I do want to ask you though, and I'd love to know in the comments section. So it's the 20s, okay, 2020. We are in a whole new decade, which is kind of exciting too. It's kind of like, whoa, like my grandma was born in 1919. I'm pretty sure she felt that way when the 2000 rolled over. Like that had to be pretty exciting and pretty cool. So kind of a neat thing to think about. What should we call the 20s? Like what should the name be? Like the Roaring 20s was already used. Like is it trekking into the 20s? Is it the trendy 20s? Is it the technology 20s? Is it like the time capsule 20s? Like, I don't know, like what should the 20s be called? Like, I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Like, what is going to be the new name for the 20s trending forward into the next 10 years, really? What do you think it should be? I'm curious because I was kind of thinking about this yesterday. I heard somebody else talking about this and I thought, it's an interesting thought. Or are people just going to do like the replay again? Although I hope some of maybe the social things don't recreate themselves. But the Roaring 20s, you know, are we going to see flappers and fringe and all that stuff all over again? Which I don't know if is a bad thing or not. But what is your take on that? I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that. And what do you think? What do you think is going to be new trends for the trucking industry in 2020? Like, what do you predict will happen? What do you predict you will see? Are you going to like these things? Are you not going to like these things? Like, drop them in the comment section. I would love to know. But most importantly, okay, I'm gonna close out here. 20 minutes to the hour. I'm holding you accountable to write that goal down. Regardless of what the trends happen in the 20s, regardless of what happens in the trucking industry, no matter where the direction of the rest of the world goes, you can set your own goals. And I believe that you can achieve them. I believe that you can and will get there. But this is not about resolutions. This is not about waking up a different person today. This is not about saying, I'm going to change all these 20 things in my life today and be this new person. I don't believe that path will work. Maybe it has for you. And if it has, turn off this show and you go do your thing, okay? But it has been my experience. Goal, path, mini goals to get there. No timeline, okay? No timeline. Write it down. Post it where you can see it. If you really want to gung-ho, buy a notebook and write down your goal every day so that your brain can process. Remember, we live in our subconscious. You want something new to happen, you got to store it in your subconscious. You can't just think about it. It has to be back here. And let's make 2020 be an amazing year. Be an amazing year. You might think Mother Trucker Yoga is funny, and that's great. You might think it's too simple. I have people that say, like, I want a plan. Like, give me a plan. I'm happy to write a plan out for you, but you first need to step in the right direction. Like, let's at least getting you doing things that are natural for your everyday life, that just happen, okay? And then let's set up an exercise routine. But if you're not exercising at all, you're not moving at all, the likelihood of that plan to work is very small. I'm not saying minute. I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. But I'm looking for long-term change, not temporary. And we have to change what happens here. We have to start building those small little things to get to that big thing. so that exercising 5 days a week doesn't seem foreign. That you can look at food in a cold case or on the menu and go, yeah, that would probably taste really good, but I'm going to go with this instead, and I'm going to have a small dessert and feel okay about it. Like, we can do this. You can do this. I believe in you. So let's set our goals. Let's move forward. Wherever it is that life takes us, you can handle this. I believe in you. You're a strong person. People in the trucking industry are some of the most resilient people I have ever met in my entire life. And if you and I have met, you know I believe that about you, and I want you to believe that about yourself. That's all I have for you today. Remember that no matter how hard life gets, you should never lose hope. Never lose hope that there is an opportunity for you. I believe that you woke up today because there is still a purpose for you. You are still beating and thumping inside that body of yours for a reason. And life isn't happening to you. It's happening because of you. So what kind of impact do you want to make back on your own life and the lives of those around you? That, my friend, you can control. All right, until next time. Thank you so much, Trisha. Thank you, Mandy, Maddie, Tim, everybody that tuned in. Most importantly, the best way that you can help Chrome and Steel Radio and A Daily Dose of Hope, me, is share out this broadcast. If you feel like this might help somebody in their life, please share it out. Show me some love. I always appreciate that. Facebook does its magic thing when you let Facebook know that you're watching me. All right, guys, until next time, I'll see you again soon. Check us out at mothertruckeryoga.com. Check out Chrome and Steel Radio and Mother Trucker Yoga on Instagram. You can friend me on Facebook, Hope Zavara. Just send me a message if we haven't met before so I know who you are, and I will gladly friend you. But until next Thursday, we'll see you again really soon. And get that notebook, write that goal down, because I believe in you. Bye now.